Well, another chilly day across the area, but things are finally starting to moderate, and we're going to start to melt some of this white that you see here covering the area. It was another really nice day, though, for much of the day with clear skies. You can see that looks like ice in the Long Island Sound there. Perhaps you can see the ice here. Of course, way too cold to go to by any bodies of water and look at the ice. You can see, though, there's ice it looks like ice over here, too, on the North Shore as well. So a lot of ice now everywhere, and not many clouds at all. There was some cirrus, it mainly stayed off to the north and the west for much of the day, and we were left with a very beautiful day where I got to the Pines again. And yeah, just a little walk at Fireman's Park. I'll have a little video for you. But the Pines, I'll tell you, they just looked spectacular. Damn, I gotta say, the Pines here are looking better than the ones I saw even in Jersey. Look at these. I mean, they are amazing. Take a look at that, huh? This is, again, Fireman's Park. Absolutely beautiful there in Ridge. And you can see the sun. Always a little bit of a difficult photo to take when you're shooting into the sun. But there you go. The sun is definitely just beautiful today. So definitely got out. But this is the kind of stuff that I had to walk in. This is the kind of stuff that we had to walk in here. This is taken later tonight in Nassau County, but you can see the crust of ice there. But luckily, it's soft ice. You walk in, though, you can see it kind of cakes a little bit, so it does make the walking a little tough. But the good thing is, you go to areas where it's paved, like Fireman's County Park, where they plowed half of it, so you could walk around. You don't have to walk too far into that stuff. So that's the good news. Now, high clouds are now moving in, a sign of warmer air that's on the way, and you can definitely feel tonight. Definitely feeling a lot better than it was last night. Not nearly as brutally cold, for sure. Islip is at 24, and they actually made it up to 28 today, after a low of 10 in the morning at Islip. The dew point is still 5. We still have a light northwest wind, and I don't think we're going to see any radiational cooling tonight. I'm not seeing any here. We still got that wind blowing. So first we'll look at the lows this morning, and you'll see lows around 10 degrees pretty much everywhere. A little bit colder in New Jersey, where it got down into the single digits. And then for highs today, we got into the upper 20s and even a 30 at 28 at Islip, 30 at Farmingdale, 31 at LaGuardia, 31 at Central Park, 30 at JFK. So not quite freezing. Let's see. Did they make it up to freezing in Jersey? No, Miller Air Park did not make it to freezing. They were at 28. Some other sites, though, did get above freezing. So let's go look at our climate statistics for today as we finally put this brutally cold, been one of the coldest winters so far. 28 degrees high, still 12 degrees below normal. The low of 10 was 15 degrees below normal. And that put us 13 degrees below normal for the day. So, again, very... the reason why last night I couldn't do the weather, like I was tired from walking around out in that weather, but also it was so cold that my shoelaces froze. I had trouble getting my shoes off. That's how cold it was yesterday. Yep, and they're even talking about some of these minimum wind chill reports here. Some sites had wind chills on Saturday and Sunday as low as 26 below. In Connecticut, let's see if there was a 20 below reading in Manhasset, taken at 5:25 in the morning. Let's see Suffolk County here, 22 below at Fair Harbor. Ridge got down to a wind chill of 20 below. So these are some pretty nasty wind chills that we got for sure. And we're going to put that behind us after this just remarkable stretch of just really cold weather, and just to go over and show you how long this stretch has gone on for. Let's look at our preliminary climate data here. Islip, just preliminary monthly data for the month. We're going to go look at Islip, and you'll see we've been below freezing, or we've had a couple of days. One day that got up to 32 on the 2nd, but you can see how remarkably cold it's been. And then even as we go into January, we roll this back to January here. If I can do that. If we go look at January here, you'll see the last days of the month also very cold. as well. Highs only in the 20s. So the last time we were in the 40s was January 22nd. Yeah, that's the last time. So it's been a long time since we've seen 40 degrees. Definitely one of the longest stretches. And if we go back that preliminary monthly data, which I should have, I closed it up. Let's do that again. Observed. Just show you how much below normal we're running. So far for the month of February, we're running 12 degrees below normal. So, yeah. Average temperature of only 19.9. So, average temperature of 20 degrees. Yeah, that's pretty cold. So, looking at our weather map here, you're going to start to see some changes taking place. That high pressure there finally going to move offshore. We're going to get into a warmer flow, more off the Pacific. And that is going to change our weather patterns. So let's go and take a look at what our weather patterns are going to be doing now as we head further into February. Let's start off with the European. I'm going to look at the 12Z runs here for continuity's sake. So we're going to first look at the jet stream here. All right, so we've been having this trough, but this changes now as we head into this week. You'll notice more of a zonal flow taking place. No real big troughs here. And then that lends itself to milder temperatures when you have a jet stream of that configuration. And if we go look at our ridges and troughs in the upper air here, you'll see here that trough finally pulls out. We finally get into some ridging. There's a little bit of a trough that pops up toward the end of the week. But you notice there's not much, not nearly as strong as a Greenland block. So this air is coming more from the Pacific, not so much from the Arctic. So it won't be as cold. And you can definitely see that pattern change there, though. It looks like toward the end of the period, it looks like it tries to come back, that blocking. There's still a little bit of blockiness over there in Greenland on this European model here. GFS wants to break it down, I think, a little quicker if we look at the 12Z GFS. Let's go look at that. Yeah, GFS wants to break it down a lot quicker. And that results in a big... I don't know if I'm necessarily buying how fast the GFS wants to do that so fast. So we'll look at our temperature anomaly chart here. And you'll see how things change here. I will bring it in a little more to the CONUS view. But you see the reds popping up more and more. And the dark blues, there's a few outbreaks that do develop here, as you see there. So I'll pull this into the CONUS view. You'll notice there's a few outbreaks that do. So we do see moderations. We're actually going to go above normal, especially on Wednesday. Then we drop to a little bit below normal on Friday, it looks like. And then we see this is the European, but then we're close to normal on the weekend. Still a little bit below, but then we go above for next week. But you can see it tries to bring that Arctic air back a little bit, especially toward the end of the period, but not nearly as severe as what we've had. The GFS, on the other hand, is a lot warmer. So GFS basically shuts all the Arctic air off, and is basically near normal or below normal. Then it goes above normal with a lot of warmth as we get toward. So I guess you can call this like the February thaw. But you can see what's trying to happen. The Arctic air is trying to come back eventually as we get toward the latter part of the month. I think it will. So let's go look at the storm track here on the surface. So we do have a couple of storms to watch. We have a very weak system for tomorrow night that might bring a very light period of mixed precipitation. Probably won't amount to much. And then we see this is the GFS, but you see there's a cool down behind that system, but it won't be Arctic air. And then the next system here that has to be watched is a week from now. Right now, GFS shows it as being rain, but this is a ways away. Hopefully it's not a snowstorm. And you'll see there's a track that's going north into the lakes, which is what you want to see. There's another track that goes north into the lakes. That's what you want to see. And you get that, and maybe a chance for an LLJ and wash this white stuff away, which we're all tired of already. It's been like over 2 weeks now, and this stuff isn't gone anywhere. It's just like it's like a glacier. So here's the Euro, same deal. Small impulse tomorrow night. Does get windy on Wednesday, so even though we warm up, it won't feel that warm because of the wind. Still be windy on Thursday a little bit, and then the winds kind of subside. But you see, here's the Euro with that storm also giving us quite a soaker which would be great because we could wash all that snowpack away, which would be awesome. But then you see it tries to build in some cold air from the north again. So you do have to watch out in the long range. I still don't think we're done with the Arctic air yet. I think we'll have more of it, but we're going to have a little break at least for this week into the weekend. So let's go and take a closer look at our short range now. And actually, I'm going to do things a little differently. We're going to show the Climate Prediction Center now, and then I'll go into the short range. So here's the 6 to 10 day outlook. And you can see above normal temperatures, excellent chance of above normal temperatures, especially in the middle, but also for the East Coast as well. And the below normals out in the west, and above normal precipitation for a lot of areas too. So, again, there could be some rain events that could be bringing some decent amounts of rain. The 8 to 14 day outlook, similar. But you do notice that there's a little carve out of near normal right over basically our area. So that's a sign that we may see colder air try to return in 2 weeks' time, perhaps. So it still has above normal precipitation, especially on the west coast. This is going to be a Pacific-driven pattern, so it kind of shuts off the cold air for a little bit. All right, so let's go take a look at the HRRR, and you see here that there is a weak disturbance. It might bring some light snow to the north. But then there's another little impulse that comes through, I guess maybe a little called a cold front or whatever, and brings some light mixed precipitation or a shower, perhaps, around 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow night. It probably won't really amount to all that much. Looking at the total rainfall, it really won't amount to very much. But because the ground is still cold, it could still make things slippery. The dew points and wind flows, this is where we start seeing our change. So instead of a northwest flow, we go to more of a westerly and, unfortunately, a southwesterly flow and a southerly flow. And the southwest, of course, bad for me because then I got to deal with the furnace exhaust. And I actually spoke with somebody in the village about it, and it looks like I'm going to have to call the fire department next time it happens, believe it or not. That was suggested by the village. But we do see a south wind, so maybe if it's more of a south wind, I won't get it as much, but that does bring in the warmer air. And then for Wednesday, we do see the winds shift to the northwest, but you notice the dew points aren't that low. This isn't Arctic air. This is modified polar air. And we do have a northwest wind on Wednesday. So looking at our temperatures tonight, probably not going to drop nearly as much. I think maybe we're going to only see lows in the 20s with the clouds on the increase. And then for tomorrow, we're going to get above freezing. We're going to have highs in the mid-30s. So we start melting some of this stuff. And then they stay up. The temperatures stay up tomorrow night, above freezing. For us, I mean, north, but even though the air temperature is above freezing, the ground is still cold. So I'm still worried about a little slipperiness if we do get some light rain showers. And then for Wednesday, the temperatures make it close to 40 degrees. So, yeah, we're going to see definitely an improvement. And you can see the much warmer air off to the... You can see how the warmer air is kind of the really warm air is being held at bay. Looking at the European model here, and this time I will go to the 18Z run of this, looking at the dew points and wind flow again. So we have that restoration of the northwest winds for Wednesday, but again, no real Arctic connection. But Thursday, unfortunately, you start seeing what happens here. There is a little piece of colder air that tries to come in. We still have a northwest wind. And then as we get into Friday, it kind of goes over us. So Friday could be a little bit colder, a colder feel. But then by the weekend, we see a little bit of a moderation in that. And we have more of a west wind for Valentine's Day on the 14th. But then you can start to see a little more of that cold air. Try to sneak in on Sunday before that storm system. And that would be the next storm system that we'd have to watch. It's way too early to say what's going to happen with that. But I'm leaning more toward it being a rain event at this point because of the lack of Arctic air. So our air temperatures again. This is the European going to 40 on, and then we do drop on Thursday morning since it's below freezing, and then Thursday it's probably one of those days where it'll be around 32, and then Thursday night, yeah, it'll probably tend to get a little colder again with lows in the mid-teens, and then for Friday, we're probably going to struggle to get to freezing. Probably get there, but it is going to be a little chilly, seasonably chilly. So that's what I mean. There's a moderation, but it's not a thaw. It's not a thaw. And then for Saturday, Saturday we start seeing the temperatures warm up into the 40s. And that's more like a thaw. But then look what happened Sunday. Boom. It looks like it drops down again as the colder air tries to make a return. So that's what this model looks like. And if we go into the 12Z run here, which is a little further along, it's actually kind of interesting. There was a difference between this run is a little colder than this run. So that's why we have to watch that system. The 12Z kind of has it as a rain track, but we're going to have to watch that. Because things could change, but you looking at these longer range temperatures, you don't see a whole lot of really bitter cold here, but you do see it try to sneak back in as we get toward the end of the month. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see another Arctic outbreak before this month is done. So that's the European. The GFS is a different idea. I'm not sure I'm buying that. So let's go to the RGM. We'll look at the skies. All right, so here's the skies tomorrow. Obviously, going to have plenty of high and mid-level clouds around. Probably be overcast by later in the afternoon. And then for Wednesday, it looks like we'll start off with sun, and then clouds will build later on, particularly off to the west. But we could be sunny on Long Island, perhaps. And then Thursday, probably going to see showing more in the way of clouds developing on Thursday. That's as far as this model goes. So if we want to go a little further, then we'd have to go to the GFS, and you see here's the GFS showing again those clouds. Perhaps Friday, I think, maybe tend to have more sunshine, and then Saturday, I mean, it's hard to go out that far. Skies, I don't really do that, but we can look at that next storm system on both the GFS. So we'll go ahead and look at that next storm system on the 18Z GFS. Here's that storm system, and again, it looks like it stays off to the south. It's not really a whole lot of cold air. It's not that strong either. GFS is weaker with it, whereas the European, obviously this 18Z run of the European does not go far enough out. But if we go look at the 12Z run, you'll see it's mostly rain, and it could be heavy rain too, perhaps, as well with that, and maybe some strong winds. That looks like a pretty wound-up storm, but that would be a soaker, and that would get rid of a lot of that pesky snow. So I'm kind of rooting for a soaker here, especially if this track can go a little further northwest, we can get an LLJ, which would really be very, very helpful in getting rid of this stuff. And I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm tired of having to deal with this stuff here, this, and I'm also tired of having to deal with this as well. Yeah, blocked. I mean, this is a constant problem. You're walking on the sidewalk, and then you get to the end to try to cross, and there's a mound of snow there that nobody shoveled. I want this stuff gone. I'm sick of it already. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I know. It's because you can't really be mad at the weather. You got to be mad at people for not doing their job. But still, it's annoying. So those are the 2 miles I'm going to look at with this storm. I'm not going to look at it anymore. But right now, it looks like a rain thing, and hopefully it's a nice soaker and gets rid of a lot of the snow, because like I said, I'm tired of it. Well, snow. Let's call it white stuff, because it's not snow. It's just crap. I'm sick of it. All right, I'm sorry, but I am. Okay. All right, that's my rant on this. So let's go to windy.com, and we're just going to look at the winds issue for Wednesday. Don't think a wind advisory will be needed, but we will take a look and see, because it will be on the windier side. It does have wind gusts, but nothing that would need a wind advisory. But it's just the wind is going to make it feel. It's definitely going to make it feel colder. So even though we do get close to 40 on Wednesday, it probably won't feel that warm. But at least it is this kind of wind with 40 degrees instead of 20 degrees, which should definitely make it more bearable. So anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. Have a good night.